Welcome to Protecting Yourself Online and Digitally. In this lesson, we are going to talk about what makes a good password and why. We're going to talk about the main reason malware gets on your computer, and we're going to describe how to protect yourself, protect your physical and digital computing footprint, right? So protecting your devices and then all of your information that's online. Again, really, our objective is for you to understand how you can protect yourself against everything as we go through. So the number one way most people protect themselves is with a password, right? You have a password that secures most of your accounts, your data, your computer, whatever it might be. So, what's a strong password? Why do we need strong passwords? And we'll kind of go through that real quick. So I think we all know that 1, 2, 3, 4 is not a good password, but at the same point, a lot of people still have 4 digits as the PIN to their phone. I think a lot of devices are bumping you up to 6, and here's why. And in this short little video, we're going to see how when you plug in a device, it can automatically go through all of these attempts in less than a day. So now, again, this is an Android with a 4-digit PIN, but the point is you can kind of see how some of this goes, which will also come back to a lot of this stuff relates to each other when we start talking about devices and people being able to get a hold of your device as well. But here's a quick video on how simple it is to get through a 4-digit PIN.
Let's test it out. So, all right, so with our phone turned on, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in the duck. And it's going to wait about 5 seconds before it starts doing its magic. We put that delay in there, and that's just to make sure that it doesn't immediately start flooding the computer with stuff. And there we go. We can see the last digit when it gets to the end because we are typing pretty quickly. And we went through 0000 through 0003. We'll get to 0004. And we've now done 5 attempts. It's going to hit enter twice, remember? And we're going to speed this up right now so we don't have to wait the full 30 seconds. And 0005, 0006, 0007, 0008. And hey, would you look at that? And there we go. Now, obviously, I used the pin 0008 for demonstration purposes, so it wouldn't take so long. And so to give you a little bit of an idea here, with that 30-second timeout, theoretically, that gives us doing 10,000 keys, that's 0000 through 9999, about 6 seconds per key. Now, that would take 60,000 seconds. So 60,000 seconds divided by 60, that's 1,000 minutes, which again, divided by 60 would give us 16 and a half hours. That's actually not that bad. I mean, if you found a phone at the bar.
All right, so again, you find a phone, get through it, 16 hours, again, less than a day. You can almost put that starting when you get home from work, and by the time you wake up, it might be done already with a password. So again, I think we realize this, but sometimes we don't really think about it. And that's kind of what this first part of this password is as we go through. So, why do they want us to have complex passwords? I know we all complain, why do I need all this extra stuff? Well, if you only, and this is 8 characters, if we only have numbers, that's 100 million, right? Computers eat that for breakfast. That's less than a second. We add some lowercase, goes up to 11 minutes. We go to uppercase, right? And it's still 8 characters, numbers, lower, upper, 15 hours. And again, that's less than the last one we were talking about. So the whole 16 hours to crack the phone, if you have a semi-complex password of 8 characters, less than 15 hours. So when we start adding in those symbols, 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks is a decent time. A lot of protection we need to talk about is, is it strong enough, right? 3 weeks is going to stop most people. Most people, not everyone, right? There's still, if someone really, really wants to hack you, they might be willing to wait that 3 weeks. But again, it'll stop most people, right? So protection is never foolproof, right? Pretty much everything can be cracked given enough time. So let's talk about another concept of length, right? You keep seeing things are going from 8 to 10 to 12. Well, why? Why do they keep making it longer? Now, these are all complex passwords, but even if you have a super complex 6-character password, less than 3 minutes. 7 goes up to 5 hours. Now, we already talked about 8 characters. That's the 3 weeks. But let's start looking when we just add one more character. 5 years. One more character. 526 years. Honestly, I don't mind if I get hacked in 526 years. I don't know about you, right? But again, it's all relative. We're getting faster computers. This is for the standard computer, so that can go down quicker and quicker. So, but that's again, why are they asking you to do 10 characters? Why are they asking you to do complex? This is why. But the other thing is, just because you have a complex password, like you can look over here and see complex passwords. However, what happens is if your password is on this list, and you could just Google the top 10,000 passwords, be warned, there are many cuss words on there. But you can see that your password might be on here. Now, and I have this over here because don't just think that if you put a capital A there or a 0 at the end of this that you made password secure, because I spent like less than a second and I told the computer to generate different variations of it. I only asked for 20. But you can see how quickly I can do different variations. And I already talked about if I have a million different variations, probably has your variation in there, the computer can go through all those variations in a matter of a second. So again, if your password is on this list, there's probably some calculator out there that has your variation of that password on the list. So again, try to make it unique, and you can always search for this as well. And also there's a lot of online passwords that have been cracked already, so you can also search up those lists. But again, make it unique. And then I put this slide mostly up, not saying that I necessarily do it, but this is a nice way to do it, right? So you have your standard password, you can see over here, and then you can see you just add a little bit to the end, right? So as long as you don't make the end super easy so they always know, oh, well, this is how they do it. You just like, all right, GMA is for Gmail, FAC is for Facebook, right? They'll give you a little bit more time or protection on your different accounts. So if they crack one, they can't go through all of them. And then, of course, we talk about all this, but in the grand scheme of things, right, if you make your password so complex you can't even remember it, you're not really stopping anyone, right? You're stopping yourself from getting in. You're not stopping everyone else from getting in. So, well, what do we do, right? Well, we talk about passphrases. So instead of just having a word or some complex letters or whatever, I mean, we said length is one of the best ways to protect it, right? And length really increases the difficulty. So if you can use a phrase, now I'm not saying this is a great phrase, but this is a concept of, taking a phrase, converting it over. And it could be anything, right? It could be 3 words, pizza tasty yum. And then you just make it complex by changing the A's to @ signs. And as long as you always do that, like, here's my phrase. I know I changed anything that's an A to an @ sign. My E's become 3's, kind of like you see what they did here. So, and you don't need to necessarily even abbreviate it, right? If you just took this whole thing with commas and spaces and all, I mean, this is, in theory, a decent password. But we'll talk about other reasons why, if it's too personal, it might not be a good password. But passphrases, right? So literally a sentence or just a few words put together, and it's easy to remember. You can make it complex, and it gives you length, right? So again, we talked about all this complexity. We talked about all of this length, right? How you can remember it. Well, think about using a passphrase, right? Even, your favorite thing, the first sentence to your favorite song or something. Now, after just saying that, right, if you use too much personal information, right, they can also use that against you as well, right? I just showed you how you can plug information in a computer and it can spit out a bunch of different variations. So if you use your mom's maiden name and your birthday and your pet's name, right, people can put that together and find it, right? So if this is your favorite song, someone might try that first sentence as your passcode, right? Password. So again, it makes it harder to do stuff, but if it's too familiar to you, people can try to use that to crack it. So if it means something just to you, that would be a good password, like something people don't know about you, you don't put online. And then we'll watch this video quick because it's very common, right? It's very common for people to do this, and then we'll be able to put stuff online. And we'll talk about this when we go on the digital footprints in the next part of this lesson. But here's a quick video on people doing exactly what I'm saying not to do.
We've been hearing a lot about cybersecurity lately, largely because of what happened to Sony. Companies and individuals are more concerned about the safety and privacy of their information than ever. President Obama has unveiled a number of new proposals this week to crack down on hackers, and he plans to address this in the State of the Union speech on Tuesday. And it's great that the government is working on this, but the truth of the matter is we need to do a better job of protecting ourselves. The most popular password in the United States is password 123. And as long as that's the case, we're vulnerable. So today we sent a camera out on a Hollywood Boulevard to help people by asking them to tell us their password. And this is how that went.
We're talking about cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon,
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School
Oh, when did you graduate?
in 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Has you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1.
Like my birthday,
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th,
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. So Jolie, 6/12,
Nine.
95.
Yes.
Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468, and then Israel. It's only 3, but it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gemma, 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Like
So
what? Like what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, now you know my password. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the important thing is they learned that.
All right, so you can see, and obviously this was funny, exaggerating, but you can see that people use their names a lot, and if you can find that information, you can piece it together. All right, so you can go online and just type in 0ac.me !PW if you wanted to. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend putting in your password, but you could test some passwords out and see if that's going to work. Again, just you gotta type that into the URL 0ac.me !PW and test that out. But let's move on to cyber threats, because one of the big things is, just your physical presence, right? If someone can get to your computer, they can probably break into it, right? I tell a lot of people, if you leave your computer alone for 10 seconds, I can plug in a thumb drive and get your password off of it, right? If you leave your computer alone and walk away, and even if it's locked, I can probably get into it in 5 minutes and then, change your password and get in. We won't talk a whole lot about that in this piece, but again, the concept of being able to get to your computer, right? So here's some physical threats, right? Some of them aren't necessarily as prominent now, but I mean, dumpster diving, that's where thieves will look through the trash to find your information, and you'd be surprised what people will throw away. And we'll see a video in a second, even if it's just your phone number, what they can do as they start going through your stuff. Shoulder surfing just means they're looking over your shoulder, so again, it doesn't matter how secure your password is, if you type it in front of them, they can see it. And then devices, you can lose them, people can grab them, and as I mentioned, once they have the device, there's stuff that you can work with. They can work with to get it. And then they can be compromised via wireless, right? So if you connect to a rogue hotspot, right, a Wi-Fi that's not a malicious Wi-Fi, so you go to McDonald's, you say McDonald's, and McDonald's free, and you're like, oh, I want the free one, sounds good. Well, that might be a fake one, right? So we'll kind of talk about that. And then, if you have a password manager, again, this concept of physical threats, like I use a password manager, but I also lock my computer all the time. If I go away from it for more than 3 seconds, I lock it, and we'll show you why, right? And again, that final thing, if I can get to your computer, right, I can hack your computer. Now, there are ways to protect it, but most people don't use those. Most people don't know what they are. So if you just don't let people get to your computers, then they can't hack them, right? And then this is what I'm talking about. Like if you have a password manager, you can see on right here, there's your super secure password, and then how long does it take, and then poof, there's your super secure password, right? So what is that, less than 5 seconds? You can see what I'm talking about. When I lock your computer, how quickly it takes for someone to find that password that you think secure that your computer's automatically memorizing. All right. So also we want to talk about other things. You know, what are you going to do? What about all this? What do you do, right? So personal best practices: lock your computers in public, right? Just lock them. You know, normally you can just hit Control, Delete, Enter, lock that computer. Guard your devices. Put them in backpacks if you need to. Don't leave them laying around, and shield your keyboard so people can't see you typing your passwords, or make sure no one's around when you're doing it. Don't let strangers use computer, because again, I can plug in a thumb drive. You look away for 30 seconds, and then it'll show me your password, right? It's running a bunch of commands. Keep sensitive information in secure places. Don't put it on your desktop, and stuff like that. Avoid using open networks if possible, or at the very least ask. And these are Wi-Fi networks. Ask, what they are. And this goes back to the concept. Like, just think about this, right? If you were at Starbucks and you set your computer down and you went to the bathroom, and I came down and sat down at it, what are the chances anyone's going to say anything, right? So, again, lock your computer, put it away, bring it with you, because just think in the world we live in, who's going to protect you? And in fact, this video we're going to watch, the guy walks into a bank, right? One of those statements, if you have a clipboard and you look like you know what you're doing, you can go anywhere. Well, this is a great example of it, right? So we'll watch this video real quick, showing you just how easy it is to get to these devices. So if you don't lock them, you can have issues.
The payload, but Jason Street is fantastic at just walking into a joint and just like going up to an unlocked computer and totally, getting physical access and owning it.
Oh my goodness.
I have a clip I shouldn't have. We'll play it.
So again, you can see him. He's at a bank, right? He's walking in past the tellers. He turns left right into a manager's cubicle. No one said anything. You kind of see the clipboard on the left-hand side. He plugs in that thumb drive that I was talking about, and they blurred out a bunch of it, but you can kind of see in the background that stuff's happening, right? The thumb drive's running some commands, just like that, right?
Wow.
All right, again, just like that. So, again, physical cyber hygiene, right? Realize where you're at, realize your devices, realize what people can do to your devices as we're going through it. All right, so the next couple of videos go to this concept of online threats, right? If people have a little bit of information, and this also talked about this a little bit with dumpster diving, if people have a little bit of information about you, what can they do? So I'm going to play this one first. This one's mostly about all the information that you put out there, and then we'll jump over to this one, which will kind of show just how easy it is. Again, you might have the strongest password in the world, but if people can just go around it, convince you to give it, or just give you access, then this thing called social engineering happens, and it doesn't matter how strong your password is. So again, all the information that we're going to put out, and then what people can do if they have that information.
I'm Brooke Alvarez. Let's get right to our top story tonight. Congress today reauthorized funding for Facebook, the massive online surveillance program run by the CIA. According to Department of Homeland Security reports, Facebook has replaced almost every other CIA information gathering program since it was launched in 2004.
After years of secretly monitoring the public, we were astounded so many people would willingly publicize where they live, their religious and political views, an alphabetized list of all their friends' personal email addresses, phone numbers, hundreds of photos of themselves, and even status updates about what they were doing moment to moment. It is truly a dream come true for the CIA.
Much of the credit belongs to CIA agent Mark Zuckerberg, who runs the day-to-day Facebook operation for the agency. The decorated agent, codenamed the Overlord, was recently awarded the prestigious Medal of Intelligence Commendation for his work with the Facebook program, which he has called, quote, the single most powerful tool for population control ever created. Among the biggest successes of the Facebook program is Operation Farmville, which the CIA credits with pacifying as many as 85 million people after unemployment rates rose dramatically. Other features, such as the suggested friends window, have been instrumental in allowing government agents to infiltrate deeper into the friend networks of suspected dissidents. For some expert analysis now on the story, let's check in with the Fact Zone's first responders. Jason, you have written extensively about the Facebook program. Why is it so effective?
Well, one of the key reasons is that the CIA has been so thorough in convincing the nation that constantly sharing information about everything that you're doing is somehow desirable instead of deeply unsettling.
Yeah. You know, the critics are saying that with the national debt being so high, is this really the time to be spending even more money on spy programs?
Well, actually, the Facebook program saves the CIA money.
That's right.
Like the Maps application, where you list every place place that you've been, whether it's the state or a country or...
Oh, right, with the little pins, they show where you visited. Yeah,
yes.
I like that.
That kind of information would have taken the CIA months of going through hotel receipts and plane tickets to figure it all out. The manpower that Facebook saves is huge.
Absolutely. And the calendar feature even lets the CIA know where you're going to be in advance. So that's
right. So now if they want to pick you up for questioning, all they have to do is see which events you RSVP'd yes to and then send their agents to be waiting for you.
That's how they got my brother.
That's right. So effective. But guys, with all the focus on the Facebook program, is it taking away from some of the other CIA programs like the Twitter initiative?
The funding for that should be cut entirely.
Right, 400 billion tweets and not one useful bit of data was ever transmitted.
Oh, that's true. Now, is this trend of social network information gathering dangerous? I mean, just last week, the New York Times revealed that Al-Qaeda has designed Foursquare to identify popular locations for bombing.
Actually, Brooke, that's been discredited as any kind of real threat. The people that use that site are people that no one would mind seeing bombed anyway.
Yeah, really, the only thing the CIA has to be concerned about is people losing interest in Facebook and moving on to a new social network site, like the Chinese site Wanbi.
I love that.
Are you guys on Wanbi?
Oh my God, it's so much more fun than Facebook.
It is great.
I love that one.
I love that you can earn friend points the more state secrets that you post. You know, I've got a lot of contacts in the State Department. You know, I think I could really rack them up.
You should post them up.
I should.
All right, first responders, thank you so much as always. You know, I'm, of course, a big fan of any social networking site. It allows me to interact with my fans without having to see, hear, or smell them.
So, a couple key takeaways. You can see that this was a parody, right? But there's some truth to it, right? And it might not be the CIA per se, not that they're not monitoring all of this stuff, but where he says, and in this case, social media has convinced us that it's a good thing to give all this information and not deeply unsettling. Right? I'm paraphrasing that, but again, this is real, and the Foursquare, and again, yeah, how funny. No one minds if they get bombed, but there's been terrorists who have laptops who have been found with these running routes around military bases, and what they found was the soldiers were running around the outside perimeter of the base and then posting that online, and then the terrorists are able to figure out the perimeter of the base because that's where the soldiers are running. So again, this stuff is real. As as much of a parody of this is, it's real. Now, again, with that little bit of information you post on, this my birthday. I mean, so you think about this like another thing, and people don't like. Maybe you're secure. Maybe you're like, you know what? I don't show people my birthday on Facebook or whatever you have, TikTok. However, all of a sudden you post a picture and say, just celebrated my birthday, and then maybe it's my, like my 25th birthday. Boom, right? They now know your birthday, and then they can minus and do the math and figure out the year. So again, you might think you're being secure, but you can do little things, and people that are trained, right? I have background in military intelligence. People who are trained to look through information and understand this stuff can use that against you. And here's an example. Again, this lady has nothing but his phone number and name, and then some skill, and she's able to completely take over his account, right? And that's just the start of what can happen through this. Maybe we'll have some time to go over a story of how someone was hacked one place and they just completely wrecked his life. But again, let's watch this video real quick to show you just how simple it is for people to just not even need your password, but to trick people into either other people to get into your account or trick you to get into your account.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30
At
seconds,
gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right. Thank you.
So you can see how easy it is, right? I mean, obviously she has some skill, but she didn't hack his password. She got them to trick, right? So methods are phishing, which is that's where you just send out millions of them and hope 100 people do it, and if you get $10,000 from 100 people, you're sitting pretty. Spear phishing is when you go a little bit more direct. So I'm in a school district. You can pretend to be the superintendent, or other things where you pretend that you're the CEO, COO, whatever it might be. An example would be fraudulent email sent to employees aiming to steal specifically Microsoft, right? Again, spear phishing is you're attempting. Phishing and smishing are just, voice, phishing, smishing, text messages, SMS. So, but again, normally they have a little bit of information. The more information they have, the better these can be. And phishing, some of these bigger ones just rely on hopefully someone falls for it, but even some of those are getting pretty complex as well. So things you can look for, this would be the phishing type one, where it's just kind of generic, my university, dear network user, doesn't know your name. But some of these can be very, very like they know, and they might not necessarily even know you're from Amazon per se, but they're like, hey, we know your name, we know information, and we know you order stuff, and they'll make some fake thing. You click on it, and you give them your Amazon account. But again, you can see, and things redirect, right? I teach my students how to make a URL, and you can see you can type whatever you want here, and then actually send them somewhere else when this part doesn't show. So a lot of the times you can hover over it, and it'll show in the bottom. But again, generics, and just things that, doesn't make sense. Is it too good to be true? I've had a lot of teachers, hey, we want more email space. Like, oh, sure, I do. They click on it, and then they contact IT. Why did we not get our extra space? And we're like, just change your password, right? So again, be cognizant of you're looking at it. And bottom line is, I normally don't click on anything, right? If there's something from Amazon, then I just go to Amazon to check on it, right? Don't click on a link and hope you go to the right spot, right? Even if it's a legit email. I'm pretty sure this is from my bank, but you know what? I'm going to just go to my bank, because they normally have a contact thing inside the bank login. So again, good rule of thumb, just don't click on anything. Now, I'm not going to play this video, but the point is of this video, you can see this. This is 2023. There's probably going to be a 2024 coming out soon, or whenever you watch this, there's probably one for this year. So again, go Google these. Watch out for the scams. They kind of get updated. They get nuanced or whatever. Sometimes they reuse them. So if you watch these, you might be like, oh, hey, I saw this. This looks like a variation of an old one. Sorry. Now we're going to go real quick over malware and talking about why it gets on your computer, how it gets to computer, kind of what is it. We're not going to spend too much time on it. It stands for malicious software, stuff designed to exploit your computer. And again, it might not negatively necessarily impact you, but again, that's still information as well. So they come in a bunch of different things. One thing to understand is a Trojan might be spyware, a virus might have ransomware. Again, the quick things to understand are these are a way that you transfer it. So viruses need humans, worms can transfer themselves, Trojans look like other devices, and logic bombs have some kind of logic to them. And this is just what they do, right? So it puts up adware. I think we've all seen that, like, hey, buy this, buy that. Spyware spies from you. So we'll go over a few of these, not too much, but things to watch out for, because some things you can see, like a keylogger, it might be plugged into the back of your device, right? So you see your keyboard plugged into something, this could be tracking all your keystrokes. And they're nearly impossible to catch with antivirus, because again, it's capturing it. So it takes your keystroke, it sends it, and it's really hard to see if your computer to know that, hey, that's not that. So again, something to watch out for from that standpoint. Ransomware is another big thing, so you might have heard this around. And it'll encrypt everything, so it'll take away all your files, anything you need, your pictures, and then they'll make you pay to get it back. And these are real simple. I've seen it at least twice at a school district where someone just click on something. I've even had someone ask for a help desk on how to open a file, and then before we could tell them don't do it, they had already figured out how to open it and then encrypted the network drive. So again, very dangerous and or expensive, right? So either you just don't get your files back or you're going to pay, and then that just makes the whole situation worse. This is another thing that's getting kind of new, right? Is people paying someone else to do malware against you. I've heard it very common, talked to one of the tech communication companies in the area, and they were saying, you might make someone mad playing Fortnite or other online video game, and someone online will figure out your IP address and then shut down a whole entire neighborhood, because it's not like they shut down your actual house. It stops the router in your neighborhood and overloads that, so everyone in your neighborhood loses it. So how do we protect ourselves from this malware? Well, again, update, right? So we talked about other things, so don't click on stuff, watch for your emails. But another major concept is things update. So if you look at this, 75% attacks in 2020 were vulnerabilities that are at least 2 years old. What that means is if you have your computer up to date, you stop 75% attacks against that computer. Because all the attackers do is a lot of times they don't really target someone. They just go around to computers and look for ones that aren't updated, and then they just attack those vulnerabilities. So again, this statistic, and we'll see other statistics like that, right? A lot of things were patched a while ago. So if you keep everything up to date, then you'll have ability to kind of mitigate the malware, right? Along with, not letting people get to your computer, plugging in thumb drives to your computer, not clicking on things, emails, not downloading things. That's where the Trojans come in that, are downloading the viruses. So these all piece together on protecting that digital asset that you have. Now you can remove it. There are plenty of tools out there for you to go find what you might not. So you do have different things. Because antivirus is normally looking for the virus, right? That's one of the big things, and it has like very specific things it's looking for. So there's different things, the pieces, it's a whole puzzle for you to put together in order to protect yourself. Another big thing is you back up your data. So you gotta be careful if you have your backup connected too closely. I've seen these malwares corrupt your backups as well, because if they can get to it. So one concept is you plug in a thumb drive or external hard drive, back up your stuff, and then unplug it. And then that way, if it ever gets corrupted, it's not plugged in, because we've seen it where it will get the backups as well. But normally, if you have it obscured enough that they don't know where the backups are, or you don't plug it in directly all the time, then that's a good way, right? Your files get encrypted, or you get a virus and it slows down your computer. You just wipe everything and then start over. All right, so real quick, as a summary of everything, right? Strong password, right? Your number one protection is a strong password. However, a strong password doesn't necessarily protect your device if you just leave them out, right? If people have time and access, they can get around a lot of stuff, right? Even some of the things that, one way you can do is encrypt your hard drive, but I just read that there's ways around encryption. So again, or at least the hard drive encryption, by bypassing things. And again, getting to the actual hardware, and then putting a device that goes around the protections. Protect your information. The more information you put online, the more people can use that against you to trick you, like, oh, I'm so-and-so, you should know me, and, send me all this money, or whatever. I mean, they're really good, and they'll figure out, hey, it's Amazon, this shipment's not coming in, click here to get a refund, and then you put all your Amazon information into it. And then keep everything up to date, right? If you have everything up to date, then they're not going to be able to hack you with a vulnerability that is 6 months old, right? So these are huge things that you can do to keep yourself protected. And just realize the number one reason malware gets on the computer, the number one reason companies get hacked are people, right? That's us. Us clicking on something, us having weak passwords, us leaving our company devices out for people to get to, us not updating our systems so they're vulnerable and they can get into them, right? this reason people get hacked, right? It's not normally 0-day viruses, which are viruses or exploits rather that people don't even know, right? The Microsoft doesn't even know that this is an exploit, 0-day. Like, those are not very common. Normally, it's Microsoft fixed it, and then you just didn't update it, so they got around it, right? Or you had a password that was just password. So it doesn't matter how much work Microsoft does to keep things secure. If someone just types in password, they get into your system. So that's it, right? That's hopefully a good overview, so you can kind of think about this. Nice little over 30-minute video of what you can do to protect yourself. Thanks a lot. I hope that was useful.